What's going on, guys? My name is Tommy. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another episode of Wednesday Afternoon Worship. Today, at the request of Renato Gouveia, we'll be covering Shelyn. As always, if you have a request for this series or any other series, throw them down there in the comments below and we'll get right on them. Before we get down to business though, I have a special shout out. Today, this episode of Wednesday Afternoon Worship was brought to you in part by Mr. Michel Geiger-Huber. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I've never met anyone from Switzerland before, let alone anyone from Switzerland who got it in their head to send me free artwork. And by the way, it looks super great. I'm really impressed. We're actually gonna get it framed up and we're gonna hang it up somewhere in my display for when I use my webcam. I'm not sure exactly where right now. We might have to move some stuff around, but to be honest, it is truly touching for someone to create something, send that something to me, something they made with their own time and energy and heart, let alone somebody from across an ocean, somebody from another continent. As someone who lives in a small, middle-of-nowhere town in the small, middle-of-nowhere state of Missouri, it still blows my mind to speak to people from outside of my country on as much of a daily basis as I do. And you know how sometimes you'll be on like a metal band's Facebook page and somebody will post something like, "What's up from Honduras?" Never before did I ever think I would get a "What's up from Zurich" in my entire life. So yeah, again, Michel, thank you so much for all your hard work. I really appreciate it. Before we get down to business, don't forget, guys, our Doomsday Dawn playtest giveaway is live right now. We're about 33% of the way to being funded. And with your help and your patronage, if we can get this channel to about $150 a month on Patreon, I'll run you and 5 of your fellow subscribers through the first ever published Pathfinder 2nd edition content. If you'd like to enter in the giveaway or learn more about it, you can follow this card right here. As always, our Patreon is in the description. Now let's get to it. So as we all know, ancient cultures from all over the world had gods that represented love, represented music, represented things other than, getting food or making war. The Greeks had Eros and Aphrodite, the Romans had Cupid, the Romans had Juno, the Romans had Venus. So far as music goes, the Egyptians had Bastet and Ptah, the Greeks had Apollo. It's all across the board, really. In Pathfinder, we take art, we take beauty, we take love and music, and we roll them all up together into one big ball. And there you have Shelyn. Shelyn has watched over the multiverse with a gentle heart and a generous eye since the beginning of sentience, encouraging mortals in peace and love and reveling in even their crudest artistic awakenings. Shelyn herself is a passionate and creative artist in both matters of the heart and in works of beauty. She teaches that true beauty can take many forms, kindness is its own form of strength, and that no force is more powerful than love. She's experienced enough pain herself to recognize the sting of sacrifice, and she's soothed enough broken hearts to know that love and beauty are not easy things. In the face of all this, Shelyn remains an eternal optimist, helping to mend the deepest pains and turn the coldest hearts towards love and light. No mortal, no monster, no deity is immune to Shelyn's power. Shelyn was born the daughter of Thrawn, after the gods, including her half-brother Dobral, had imprisoned Rovagog and had agreed to leave humanity to its own devices. For a time, she and Dobral shared the portfolios of beauty, love, and the arts, and were worshipped by the early Taldans, until at some point they argued and Dobral abandoned Galarion for the far, dark places between the planes. When Dobral returned, he'd become the god of mutilation, misery, and torture, Zon-Kuthon. Shelyn still believed that within Zon-Kuthon, Dobral existed, but when she reached out to him, her hand was simply pierced with Zon-Kuthon's black nails. When their father tried to welcome him in, Zon-Kuthon captured and tortured the wolf spirit that was his father beyond recognition. It was for these crimes and for the other terrible acts he committed against Shelyn and her works that the gods of Galarion banished Zon-Kuthon to the plane of shadow. In an attempt to redeem her brother, Shelyn stole his weapon, the Whisper of Souls, but she was ultimately unable to turn him to the light. Despite its negative influence, she kept the glaive out of love for him, and present day the glaive is Shelyn's favorite weapon. To this day, clerics of Zon-Kuthon know never to harm clerics of Shelyn. Doing so results in harsh punishment for them that never ends with death. On the other side of it, sometimes they actually try to protect Shelyn's clerics. In an ironic twist of fate for an evil god, this behavior actually earns them divine rewards. For their part, Shelyn's clerics return the favor by looking the other way when they meet known clerics or cultists of Zon-Kuthon, the exception being if the clerics or cultists are obviously harming innocents, defacing art, or otherwise, just being unforgivably evil. You would think that other evil deities would put Zon-Kuthon into a difficult position for this, but really, Shelyn is respected and admired by all of the non-evil deities, and for the most part, the evil deities just leave Shelyn alone. Really, it's only Rovagug that can resist Shelyn's charms at all times, but of course, wrath, disaster, and destruction are pretty much the polar opposites of art, love, and beauty. Of course, as you would expect for the god of love, several of the other deities in the past have tried to woo Shelyn, most famous of which, the recently ascended god Cayden Cailean. If you'd like to learn more about the drunken hero, you can follow this card right here. Right now, we just need to know that despite his frequent attempts, Cayden always fails to woo her over. As one might expect, Shelyn is a unique beauty unparalleled in the great beyond. She's beautiful both without and within, and all who see her see what they envision as the most perfect beauty, which of course means that she appears completely different to everyone. Depictions of Shelyn, regardless of race or ethnicity, show her as a young woman, barely out of her youth, with either blue or silver eyes, sometimes both at the same time, with ankle-length chestnut hair, which bears several strands colored bright red, green, and gold. Shelyn is neutral good. Her domains are air, charm, good, luck, and protection, with the subdomains Agathian, captivation, cloud, defense, fate, love, and purity. As we said earlier, her favorite weapon is still the glaive, and her symbol is a multicolored songbird. To perform Shelyn's obedience, we must paint a small picture, hey, looking at you, Michelle, compose a short poem or song, dance a scene from a ballet, or create another work of art, whispering praise to Shelyn's beauty and grace as you do so. The piece doesn't need to be large or complex, but it must be heartfelt and made to the best of your ability. Gift that piece of art to a stranger and pay them a sincere compliment as you do so. If there are no other suitable individuals around you to receive the gift, leave it in an obvious place with a note praising Shelyn and asking whoever finds it to take it with your warmest wishes. In return, we receive a +4 sacred bonus on craft and perform checks. Shelyn's Evangelist boons grant us Silent Image 3 times a day, Minor Image twice a day, or once a day, Major Image. At 16th level, drawing on Shelyn's Divine Inspiration, you can substitute your bonus in a specific perform skill for a bonus in another related skill, like the Versatile Performance class feature of the Bard. Select one type of perform skill, which you can substitute for its associated skills. If you already have Versatile Performance when you obtain this boon, choose an additional perform skill to substitute, and you gain a +2 bonus on checks with this additional perform skill. At 20th level, you learn to pour your soul into works of art. Once per week, you can use Symbol of Persuasion as a spell-like ability. Instead of inscribing a symbol, you can cast this spell using a piece of art worth 5,000 gold or more as an arcane focus. Unlike the material components of Symbol of Persuasion, the artwork is not consumed during casting. Each creature within 60 feet of the artwork must succeed at a will save or be charmed by you for 1 hour for every hit die you possess. Covering or hiding the artwork renders its persuasive effect inactive until it is uncovered again. This persuasive effect lasts until the symbol is triggered or until you use this ability again, whichever comes first. You may choose a different piece of art every time you use this ability. This has Intrigue campaign written all over it. Because really, at 20th level, you can't go toe-to-toe with the Demon Lords and, oh look minions, here's this painting I drew, and now suddenly they're all charmed. Well, I guess you could. To me, I feel like at 20th level, when we have amassed all of our wealth, put it all together, we can, leave some art in art galleries, invite famous nobles that you need in your pocket to some art gala, and bam, instant follower. Exalted boons will allow us to cast Unbreakable Heart 3 times a day, Calm Emotions twice a day or once a day, Good Hope. At 16th level, your sense of beauty and the loyalty you bear your goddess have attracted the notice of her celestial servants. Once per day as a standard action, you can summon a Leyland from Shelyn's Divine Realm in Nirvana to aid you. You gain telepathy with a Leyland to a range of 100 feet. It follows your commands perfectly for 1 minute for every hit die you possess before vanishing back to Elysium. And now that I'm reading that kind of contradicts itself, because it came from Nirvana, but whatever. The Leyland, of course, does not follow any commands that would cause it to perform evil acts or destroy works of art. and it might attack you if that command is particularly egregious. We've heard this one a million times. By 16th level, I just need something stronger. At 20th level, even in battle, you partake of the beauty and joy with which Shelyn graces her devoted followers. As a free action, you can cause an illusion of brightly colored feathers to follow every swipe and motion with your weapon. When you do so, a single weapon you hold gains the Holy and Shock weapon special abilities. If you drop the weapon or give it away, this ability's effects immediately end. You can grant weapons this ability for a number of rounds per day equal to 1 + 1 for every 4 hit dice you possess with a maximum of 6 rounds. These rounds don't need to be consecutive. By 20th level, if I wanted a holy weapon or a shock weapon, I think I would have just spent the gold to get this. I think we can pretty reliably say we can miss this one. Sentinel boons grant us Animate Rope 3 times a day, twice a day Cat's Grace, or once a day Haste. At 16th level, your passionate devotion to Shelyn grants you extra prowess in battle against evil, allowing you to see and root out the ugliness at the heart of your foe. When you use your Smite Evil class feature, you gain double your charisma bonus on attack rolls and your charisma bonus plus your paladin level on damage rolls. This replaces the normal bonus for using Smite Evil. If you don't have access to Smite Evil, you get a +2 on attack rolls against evil targets. That's really good. If you're in a low point buy and your Paladin of Shelyn didn't get the charisma score you quite wanted, this will get you there. If you started out with 18 charisma and your charisma's through the roof, when you smite something, you smite it that much harder. That is super powerful. I really like it. At 20th level, an aura of colorful feathers glowing with Shelyn's holy grace shields you against electricity attacks with a measure of the protection enjoyed by the Azadas who serve her. Okay, yeah, that's cool, sure, if there's a bunch of blue dragons all over the place, but really, it's Glorious Might. That's the one that stands out here. You can miss everything else. If you have just a 20 charisma and you're used to, I'm just gonna add 5 on my attack roll when you're smiting, nope. Now it's a 10. You're 16th level, so you might have a charisma headband. You might be at 7 or 8 charisma. Now it's a +16 to hit. That's really, really powerful. And one of these days, I think I probably will play a Paladin of Shelyn, prestige into Sentinel, so I can get Glorious Might and just, bring pain to the ugly. Speaking of bringing pain to the ugly, Shelyn is neutral good. Shelyn is one step from lawful good. So of course, she does have her own Paladin code. Their tenets include the following. I see beauty in others. As a rough stone hides a diamond, a drab face might hide the heart of a saint. I am peaceful. I come first with a rose rather than a weapon, and act to prevent conflict before it blossoms. I never strike first, unless it's the only way to protect the innocent. I accept surrender if my opponent can be redeemed, and I never assume that they can't. All things that live love beauty, and I will show beauty's answer to them. I live my life as art. I will choose an art and perfect it. When I have mastered it, I will choose another. The works I leave behind make life richer for those who follow. I will never destroy a work of art, nor allow one to come to harm unless greater art arises from its loss. I will only sacrifice art if doing so allows me to save a life, or untold beauty can arise from an awakened soul. I lead by example, not with my blade. Where my blade passes, a life is cut short, and the world's potential for beauty is lessened. So if you're out there wanting to play a character who worships Shelyn, really, you can do whatever you want with it. Because Shelyn is very accepting of everyone. You don't necessarily have to play an elf or an Aasimar or whatever it is that the society in your setting finds pretty or beautiful. As long as you've got the beautiful heart beating inside you, you're totally welcome in the Church of Shelyn. That's looking at you, orcs, goblins, hobgoblins, ogres, barbarians, any of the unwashed anybody across the world is welcome in the Church of Shelyn. And also it's in that way that no two Shelonites are created alike. You might have one who's a wonderful artist, a wonderful musician, a wonderful public speaker, really all the perform checks you've ever put ranks in before. It's important to remember that though Whisperer of Souls was a really ugly thing when Shelyn got her hands on it, now it's a work of art. And it's in that same way that crafters are probably, certainly, most definitely welcomed into the fold, whether they're making beautiful cutlery or beautiful weapons for Shelonite warriors. And on the subject of a Shelonite warrior, your Shelonite NPCs that you put out in the world are the NPCs the party does not want to cross the most. Shelonite NPCs will forgive transgressions up until the party murder hobo decides to burn down an art museum. Then it's on. Though that might not necessarily mean now it's a TPK. You are gonna pay for what you did, both in terms of coin and in terms of jail time when all of these paladins turn the corner with merciful glaives and start smacking you around for what you did. Also, again, I feel like those paladins, really any of those NPCs, should come from all walks of life. every humanoid ethnicity, every race, big, small, pretty, and scary. It can all be wrapped up and put into a Shelynite NPC because, again, as long as you've got the song in your heart, you're good to go as far as Shelyn's concerned. But what do you guys think about Shelyn? Have you ever played a Shelynite character or had a Shelynite NPC in your world? Or, a better question, how much gold has a player in your given campaign or at your given table ever made with a given craft or perform check? Because really, I'm just curious to see what in Pathfinder 1st Edition. As always, again, be sure to like and subscribe for more videos. The next episode of Wednesday Afternoon Worship, where we cover the Imperial Lord Arshe, drops next Wednesday.